Welcome to our weekly reading where we explore all things astrological. We hope you're doing really well and staying safe out there. From our two different points of view in two different locations in the world, we bring to you a unique astrological perspective on what is happening right now across the globe. So here we go. Hi everybody, this is Diana in LA and Cary in the UK. And here we are reporting the news of the stars. It's not easy coming week after week, giving all this bad news. We are very much struggling to present something that will help during these very challenging times, which is why we are doing these broadcasts, is to help during these difficult times. It's never been like this before. We have never experienced as a whole world these kinds of conditions together and observing them together. And here we go again with another week that is challenging. And as you look around the world and inside the life, you'll see that different areas are hot and being very much clarified by that heat. The big news this week in our world, in the United States, is that our president has been diagnosed with the coronavirus. And it is so upsetting, shocking, challenging, and aggravating to pretty much everybody on one level or another. There's much reaction about this. We were talking about this all week last week, what was coming at the end of the week. The full moon is the day that this was announced. And so you can kind of see, in a way, in retrospect now, what those aspects can do. That doesn't mean it will do, but those aspects are capable of things like that, where someone's life, our president's life in this case, affects everyone's life. And his experience becomes our experience. With an important world figure, these things have much bigger ripples than our own personal lives do often, even though our personal lives have ripples too. So how are you all doing out there? And Cary, what are you noticing over there in the UK?
We talked about that full moon. We talked about what could possibly happen in a full moon with Aries. What I find extraordinary about last week, and it's going to continue into this week because Mars is still in Aries, it's retrograding, and it's starting the week at 24 degrees. And on Thursday, the stellium was opposed the presidents Venus and Saturn. A very challenging time. And his Venus and Saturn in the 11th house about friendship, about relationships. When those kind of aspects take place against planets like Venus and Saturn, there could be consequences. And on Thursday, the full moon was at 9 degrees. And as it neared Mars at 24 degrees, which is squaring not only the stellium, but squaring the Venus and Saturn of the president, right in the middle of it, it's extraordinary to me that as the moon moved towards Mars and got to near the 24 degree, tweets started coming out about the president's condition. That was extraordinary.
Right, and something had to happen with that kind of an aspect. And that's such a good, interesting way of looking at our own charts too, is that when Mars, which is the triggering planet of action, does an aspect, especially an opposition or square, there is going to be something that shows up in the life in some way. In the same way as if it was trine, it would be something wonderful maybe. But when it's square, that's a trigger. And that means that subject, all of a sudden, something happens. Then action is taken, an announcement is made, and a diagnosis was made.
This week, Mars is now still retrograding back towards the stellium, still squaring the Saturn and Venus of the president, while the stellium is still opposed and challenging the president in perhaps a way that he's never been challenged. And whatever happens, it will affect the election in America, it will affect everything to do with the United States of America. Been quite a Mars in Aries type week, and the next week's going to be another one of those.
Talk about astrology in action and getting to see the literal results of what's happening in someone's chart and how that ripples out to affect everyone, because the whole country and really the whole world is affected by this diagnosis of what that could mean, of what the potential of that means. And gosh, how much have I seen of people just wondering if it's even happening? So there's so much confusion, and we've been talking about the confusion that is out there. And this week, there's two big thrusts, and one of them is Mercury is opposing Uranus.
Now, Mercury, planet of communication, and it's in Scorpio, so it's very sensitive communication, opposed Uranus. Uranus is unexpected actions coming out of nowhere. Enlightenment in one way, scattered energy.
All week long, we're going to be experiencing shocking news. Mercury opposed Uranus from everywhere, but certainly in the news. That news that we didn't expect, news that we didn't see coming. Mercury opposed Uranus, and on Sunday to tomorrow, it will be conjunct. The moon will conjunct Uranus, so it really gets to us. It's personal, like what's going to happen to me is part of what that news is. Then it continues through the whole rest of the week, where we are going to be hearing more things and more news and more information that is going to be surprising. So that's one big wave that's happening. And then the other one is Mars squaring Pluto exactly, and the stellium. And that will be happening all week in retrograde, as you were saying. And so big wheels are turning, going in opposite directions of each other. And people are probably feeling as upside down as ever.
So a lot of the messages that are going to come out this week may be interpreted in very many different ways, but it's going to have a profound effect on the shape of the week.
Right, and it's so ironic. We are discovering in our recording today that we have had technical difficulties, and isn't that so perfect on these particular aspects with Mercury opposed Uranus, electronic problems, computer problems, speed problems through the internet, etc. These are like the little things that can be happening, almost like a Mercury retrograde, which is coming soon. We're already in the shadow of the coming Mercury retrograde, but it's also that Mercury opposed Uranus energy that's causing these hiccups, big hiccups in some cases, little hiccups in others, where we are kind of struggling and stumbling along here, and we just have to do the best we can.
Anybody who is in the first few, from 1 to 5 degrees in your Earth sign, will really be feeling that this week as well, because this is all about communication. And with having your Uranus there, near your Sun, there's lots of scattered energy happening all the time. When Mercury opposes it, it's going to have a dramatic effect. Could be good, could be bad, it depends where the other aspects are. But this is a weekend to be on alert for reading between the lines of some of the communication that's going to take place as a result of this opposition of these two planets.
Yes, and that's the big thing about it, is that all of this is going to be happening, boom, 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 like popcorn, coming up, and this has been happening last week too, but as we're entering this week, it's intensifying again. So there's quick, fast, shocking events happening, one after another, and you can't get your balance very easily. And one of the things I talked about at the full moon was keep your balance. Like, that is the biggest, most important thing we can do right now, so that we don't get swept up in the stream of fear and confusion that's out there, and keep our own center anyway. And so that's the opportunity here.
I think the stellium is having a profound effect on just about everything. And as these, over the next week, in addition to what we've talked about, the opposition of Mercury to Uranus, you've got the Sun beginning to square the stellium, and that's going to have quite a stronger effect as it nears it. And you've got Mars which is retrograding towards the stellium.
And so we remind you, during these very turbulent times, that you know what they are for you already anyway, that you take the time to take care of yourself, to stay centered, to keep your balance, and not go into the reaction that is so inflaming in these times as we near the election in the United States and deal with the reality of whatever's going on with the diagnosis of Donald Trump and whatever might be happening personally for you in your life, to hold your center. So we'll see you again next week with another report from the stars. See you soon.
Stay safe, everyone.